What's up, everybody? Aloha Wednesday, Hump Day Wednesday. We are honored that you could join us, as Baby Yoda says. My favorite intro. I'm actually working on a new one. I think you guys are gonna like the new one. Um, it should be up shortly, but I like that. Was one of my favorites. I love the music. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I think you guys know that, but I think he's cute. I think. But anyway, welcome. I know it's a Wednesday night. We're competing with Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, and Chicago PD. So appreciate you guys taking the time joining us tonight. Tonight we have Joe Akana, candidate for Congressional Districts 2, which is Kauai, all the neighbor islands, and part of Oahu, a big chunk of Oahu. And he will be on tonight to share his story. He'll be on at 7 p.m. So I have a few minutes to talk a little bit about COVID. You guys all saw this today, 12,755 cases, right? Kind of freaked everybody out. Like we've been used to the 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, whatever. I still keep track of the numbers. I have absolutely no faith. What's up, Judy? Absolutely no faith in the numbers. And I think I've said that enough times. But today's numbers, very high. Of course, it comes with a little fine print. It is backlogs. It is retransmissions. I don't, whatever, however you want to paint this picture. Uh, the bottom line is that they have been underreporting for a long time, and today they put out the catch-up numbers. But pathetic. Again, um, yeah, it's our state at work. And I know we got a lot of good workers, and it's not the workers; it's the system that they have. So I mean, no disrespect to our employees; they're hard workers, but they have a system that's faulty, and there should be a disclaimer when they put out the daily numbers or weekly numbers. I'm sorry, on Wednesdays. They should have been saying these numbers aren't accurate. Our system is broken. But you know what? Just we'll give this number out so that you guys believe that the numbers are actually dropping. 7 more deaths. That's one a day. That's still kind of high for me. I think it's way too high, but it is what it is, right? Our state wants us to believe that it's all good, everything's groovy, and then they come up with this number and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's our backlog." 3 years, guys, 3 years, and we cannot get it right. So I just wanted to put that in there because I think it's pathetic, and I don't think there's any excuses. So again, election time, right? You guys get to choose our leaders. You get to choose the direction the state will go, and that's what we're trying to do: is bring on candidates, whoever wants to come on. I told you guys, I don't play the party game. It's whoever wants to come on and share their story, their platform. We want to inform and educate our voters. Number one, so they get them engaged and energized, and get them off their ocoles and to the ballots, or on your kitchen table. Now you can vote. So no more excuses anymore. All right, no more excuses. I talked to a gentleman today, good friend. He doesn't vote. He will vote now, but it's so important that we go out and vote, people. We talked on Monday night. We talked about the charter amendments for Kauai. I had a lot of messages thanking me. No, we didn't. We had no idea. Absolutely, no one shares that. No one tells you about it. I think they don't want you to vote. I think they just want you to leave it alone so that it passes. But we gotta become informed and educated people, and this is what we hope to bring. So Joe Akana will be on in a short while. He's in the green room listening right now. He's in Maui on the campaign trail. This guy's a hardworking dude. I met him. It was a week or two ago at a senior forum here on Kauai. He was there, and I heard him speak for the first time. It's like I knew this guy. It's like I know him for a long time, and I think you'll see that tonight. Really, really cool dude. A lot of experience and just a good old guy. And not old in the sense of being old, but just a good old guy. Um, there was one more thing I want to talk about for our Kauai viewers. I had a chance today for the first time to go to the drug treatment center. Everything went through, guys. I appreciate all you guys' support, your testimonies, all of your prayers. That site is now in the hands. It will be in the hands of a private nonprofit where we can finally get that place open. But I went in for the first time today, guys. I actually had a breakdown. I shouldn't say a breakdown. I broke down. I got emotional when I saw that facility. It is like awesome. It's clean. It's new. The beds are in there. The kitchen is an amazing commercial kitchen. pots, pans, knives, everything is ready to go to bed. See, when I got to the dormitory section and I saw those empty beds, I could visualize 16 kids in those beds being treated, changing their lives, saving their lives. And I was just so stoked. So again, thank you all for answering the call. I know the council got flooded with testimonies, many of them from you, and I appreciate you guys. That is so important for our island, so important. So I want to thank you guys all for that. Anyway, I'm going to bring in Mr. Akana right now, and there he is.
Hey,
What's up?
how's it, bro? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Looks like you're driving.
Yeah, actually, I'm great out here in Maui, and I was sign waving this afternoon. Right at the Pu'unene uh, intersection with Elm Highway, right there on Maui, and then had to go out, run up to a meet and greet, and that was, how that goes, right? Yeah, talk, 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 talk. Everybody like Vala'au, you know. I'm like, I gotta hurry up and get over here, get on the Mel's show. So here we are,
Yeah,
place where I'm staying.
I know how it
Really
goes, man.
crazy.
I had one last night. I had one last night in Kilauea. I got one tomorrow night in Hanapepe. You know, I love it. I love getting in front of people and hearing from them and finding out what are their issues, and that's the only way you get to do that. So anyway, Joe,
Yeah,
I want to go ahead and
and I think that's the most.
they're saying you're breaking up. We're getting messages that you're breaking up, but we're
Oh,
going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it over to you, Joe. I want to, if you could, just introduce yourself. Give us a little bit of your background. You got quite a amazing background, military, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to turn it over to you and go ahead and share your story, my friend.
first of all, thank you for giving an opportunity to even come on and speak and enjoy this story. But um, my history, basically, I graduated Kamehameha schools um, moons ago. How's that? Now, this year we celebrated our 40th from Kamehameha schools. And I went off to the military, joined the Air Force. Was an intelligence analyst for 10 years. Then I had an opportunity to go out and enjoy the corporate world for a while. I ended up getting a master's degree in business, and then uh, 10 years later, after I got out of the military, civil service, uh, up at U.S. Pacific Command, and got my second master's in strategic intelligence. And then I ended up being retired for a medical 2019. And, you know, uh, yeah, it's been extensive. I've done so many things up at the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. When I was up in D.C. and living in there, actually sitting on the HAT, which is the Senate Armed Services Committee and the House Armed Services Committee meetings, the efforts with regards to the appropriations for the DoD, Department of Defense, working through those type of budgetary requirements and what was actually needed. And that was me. And in 2014, I came back home. They brought me back here and now make you the command readiness manager for U.S. Pacific Command. Baseline, we have the equipment, the manning, the resources necessary to do our jobs. And wonderful opportunity. My final assignment that I got to do with that. One of the key areas I like to talk to you about is that I got the opportunity to actually recommend Assistant Deputy Secretary of Defense. We had been in a particular area, and I'm not going to go into what they actually were. But we were having someone to recommend to the Assistant Deputy Secretary of Defense, and essentially it came down to a $32 million sign off, and said, "Hey, well, while you're at it, we also need about 100 people to man those positions." And assistant, I guess the assistant to the assistant, how that works. And he looked into that budget and like, "Yes, sir, we can." He's like, done. Sign it off right there. So seeing how that happened. Um, Again, it was just those efforts, historic effort process that allowed me to know what we needed to do, where we needed to go, who to contact. So it worked out well, going through the Joint Chiefs of Staff, going through that whole process to make sure that our requirements and our needs out here in U.S. Indo-Pacific Command were actually met, and it went really, really well. So that's me in a nutshell as to what, as I'm sure somebody would like to know that about that. I mentioned earlier I had an issue, and I'll tell people this is that I got diagnosed with this thing called in 2018, and essentially it's the swelling of the arteries in the I know most people will go, "What did you just call that?" Arteritis is like, yeah, it's not arthritis, but arteritis, the swelling of the arteries. Part of that was, you had a lot of issues, extreme, all over your, all over your head. Had things that general malaise, lethargy, just don't feel like doing anything. Where don't even feel like getting out of the house. And you go from that to being retired. So in 2019, I retired. I was fortunate enough I was able to they called it an experimental usage for what I had. I was taking 100 milligrams of steroids every single day, and we can't leave you on that, because if we do, your immune system and your own immune system will never work again. So we can't leave you on the but we can't get you off of that until we find something that'll work. So he tried every ingredient, looked at the pluses, minuses of everything that was in there, and I was taking one as a shot once a week. Today, once every 7 weeks today, and I feel great, doing wonderful things out there. But yeah, it's something they tell me that it'll never go away. I will probably for the rest of my life. But the good thing is to know is you don't have to stay there. Go do something productive and do something. But the why came from when I was sitting on my, I was having a pity party one day, and I was sitting there like, Lord, why did you do this? Why did you make this thing happen? I was going down a happy career path. I was going down a way, and why? And again, I was having a pity party, so anybody can understand what the pity party. But I distinctly heard this voice tell me, because I have some, and when you first hear this, you kind of like look around and like, what voices? What's going on here? When he said, no, I have something better for you. I need you to get well first. And from that point on, I started focusing on being well and saying to myself that I am well, instead of accepting the sick. Just kept saying, I am well. I am healed. I am well, over and over and over to myself every day. And today, like I said, I'm and looking forward to doing more greater things for the people of Hawaii.
Well, again, first of all, thank you for your service, Joe. Your connection is a little spotty, but we can actually make out what you're saying. And apologize, viewers, but hopefully it gets better. We have this oftentimes when people are on their phones and stuff, but we can make out what you're saying for the most part. So that's important. But again, thank you for your service. You served this country, and a pretty smart dude. A lot of accomplishments. So, so your why? Okay, I am glad to hear you're doing well. I'm glad to hear affirmations work. I believe in those as well. But you chose Congress. You didn't choose local council or mayor or House or Senate. You went for the big house, Congress. When and how did that happen?
Well, actually, a funny story to that, because in 2020, after I started, feeling in a much, I went down, got invited to attend a meeting, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I should get on. And I was in one of those meetings. You're in the military long enough to know, right? Everybody steps back. You're the last one standing in the front. In a district chair, uh, um, for District 43 at the time in not Waina area where I'm from, and down to the headquarters, the HRP headquarters, and I was asking, hey, by the way, Tulsi Gabbard seat. This was in 2020, and they said we don't have any. What do you mean we have nobody? They go, yeah, we have nobody running in that seat. Don't you consider running? And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Because me running? No, I don't think so. But again, playing back what was given to me, because I have something better for you. I looked around at all the other seats. There is somebody presently running, it sense to me. So what seat was available was this one. And looking back, ended up having almost 84,000 votes for running for any seat, any House representative, anything like that. Did pretty well, and in my opinion, I think I won. Right? Whether I won really or whether I didn't win, I had 84,000 votes. I don't can be easily overlooked, and part of that is because of the message, and that is one of having faith and believing in that faith, which is what I have: faith, family, and the last one is believing in your freedom. We hear that freedom isn't free, and I think the best thing we can talk about is something wrong. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. So if we're not willing to fight, we're willing to fight for. If we're not willing to stand and fight for your families, then what are we willing to fight for? And I think that's why it's critically important. People ask me, why does my why? Is like, because we need help. We need somebody that's going to really stand for them. We need to be there for them and support our people here in Hawaii. And not just some of them, but people in Hawaii. Right? We're at looking out for the best interest of our future, for our families, for our everything that we love to hold and near and dear. Somebody that's going to really, really actually do that. And what we're seeing, just my opinion, in our legislative body right now, are they fighting for special interest? Are they fighting for themselves to fill their pockets? That's going to be something you're going to hear probably over and over and over again. Fighting for us. Case in point, we can look at an infrastructure bill that was passed, one infrastructure bill, which our legislative party got 2.8 billion. That's a great number. We got 2.8 billion, but it's only 0.00 of 1.9 trillion dollars. So they didn't do us any favor anywhere. When you have an $84 billion infrastructure shortfall, and that was, what are we at now? Right? So they didn't help us in any way. We didn't ask for the $84 billion shortfall that we have. Why didn't they ask for $100 billion have issues on? No, instead they settled for $2.8 billion. I'm sorry, in my that it really is that's just terrible. They did not do us very well.
Yeah, I think Hawaii is unique, as compared to the continent, and I do believe, like yourself and many others, that the focus, and even at our state level, that the focus has really moved over to the special interests.
Right.
And the focus has been taken off of the people, of everyone, not just
Yep.
the rich, not just the wealthy, not just the influential, but I'm talking about you and me, the guys that are out there working, those unfortunate ones that don't have jobs and are struggling. The focus, in my opinion, has just not been on the average people, but special interests. And you know what's really weird, especially in Congress, they're not ashamed to show it. They are not ashamed to do things that benefit the wealthy, the rich, the special
Right.
interests. I mean, for them, it's business as usual.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, against type of environments, and you're going, what are we doing for our people? What, I mean, fighting for you, we're fighting for you is like, my goodness, if that's your idea of fight, stop fighting for me. Right? I mean, come on, man. You're not having that's going on today. You look at the cost of living in Hawaii. You look at how many families, right? Their children have to leave, go live somewhere else because they can't afford to stay here. Why are they having to leave? Why are you not doing anything about this? You hear the discussion, you hear the talk. You have a raised taxes. Now think about it. We had almost a $3 billion legislator wanted to continue to raise taxes. I maybe I'm missing something. No sense to me. Why aren't we trying to help our kupuna more? We say we are helping our kupuna, but at the end of the day, is anybody living better today? Is anyone living better today? Not many. Not many, right? And going higher. Inflation is going higher. The Fed just raised their rate on any credit cards or otherwise, right? That continue to go up and up and up. Basic economics is going up. So is anybody really doing any better today under this current system, under this current legislative system that we have right now? I don't think so. To do something about that. We as a people need to do that. One thing you got to remember, Mel, is that it's the people, right? You touched on it just a minute ago, right? It's of, by, and it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about all of us. And what can we do? And unfortunately, like I said, I don't see our legislators presently doing that on our behalf. I wish I could say that. I wish I could say that things, but I just don't see that.
It's so hard. Hawaii is a small delegation compared to many of the other bigger states, and the control of Congress is really by the rich. And how do we change that? I mean, you said it right. The people got to vote for people that are going to represent the
Yep.
the general public, and that's our choice every 2 or 4 years, and that's when we have an opportunity to change the direction. I've been saying that for months now, and a 40% voter turnout in the state of Hawaii is kind of embarrassing, and yet 60% of the people that don't vote are probably some of the loudest complainers. And it's how do we get those people motivated and energized to get off their butts and go vote? And that's my message when I go around talking to people. We got to get people to vote. They're registered.
Yeah.
They're registered. They're just not voting. And that's a shame. I heard today President Biden was talking about the hurricane that is just devastating Florida, and our prayers go out to Florida. And he made a comment to the oil companies, the fuel companies, the gasoline companies, says, don't you dare gouge our people and use this as an excuse. And I'm thinking to myself, pal, Mr. President, they've been gouging us now for several months, and the finger pointing not going to stop them, and that's the kinds of things. I think talk is cheap. We got to get people in office that are going to do something about it. Investigate. Why are we paying so damn much for fuel, for gasoline, which is a necessity for many of us, and then we allow it to continue, right? Why are we paying so much for prescription drugs? because we allow them to continue. And
Right.
that is what needs to change. That is what needs to change. So how I mean, understanding you get elected, you're a rookie, you're a brand new person. How what is your plans to go up there and make a difference?
Well, I think, would like to, again, focus on a lot of my effort and attention. And I realize on what committee I'm on, what they deem me worthy, I guess, to be able to do. One of them, we got to fix our budget, right? Right, right. We got to have. It's insane to me being up in, working up at U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. As we would go through the end of the year and they'd pass what they call a continual resolution, right? Congress has. It's supposed to be able to pass a budget, and if we continue or continued resolutions to kick the can down the road with regards to a budget, not doing their job, right? It's like, why are we not focused on why do we have to go and run around and just to keep the lights on in the government? Let's hammer this out. Let's pass it. Sometimes you got to make cuts. You got to be aware that. But under the continual resolution is you basically keep working from a budget from, let's just say, years ago, and then you keep bringing this forward, and you say, well, now our budget this $700 billion more than it was, 5 years ago. We just balancing the budget of where we're at instead of continuing to push that and kick that can down the road. The second, again, what I like to work out and what I hear people telling me about repeated to the Jones Act. And some people say, oh, we should get rid of it. We should repeal it. We should cut it out. I think the Jones Act serves a definite purpose, right? It definitely is there to help protect within the states. I think it has a definite purpose. But it was a 1920. We were not a state at the time, but we are a state here. And 60 years later, we still as if we are operating under the guidelines of being a territory, that like it was in 19. Those are things that's one of that thing we can fix the Jones Act, and one thing we can fix on the Made in America requirement. And I know everybody's going to say, "What? You don't want to have to make that?" It's about law of supply and demand, right? We only have 90 in the world that cover all the shipping between ports in the U.S. And we just was the Houston, right? There was a storage ship that they ended up sending to India for South. 93 ships that control all the shipping within the U.S. That's crazy for that, right? Just think about that. 93 ships of our goods and services here in Hawaii because we're considered that as a port, right? So that will look at the Jones Act and turn Hawaii into a port of entry, a federal port of entry. Yes, it's free, but by updating that and requiring it to be so, now ships can come directly into and export out, which we've got to talk some more about that in self-sustainability, right? The third thing. I'm sorry. The third thing I'd like to be able to work on is the removal of the blood quantum requirement for Native Hawaiians. That's the 1920s Act as well. What I see and what I hear and talking to everyone, and Mel, I'm on Hawaii just last weekend. I'm over here in Maui today. I'll be out to Molokai over the weekend. From everyone I'm talking about is the blood quantum issue, because they're like, if people don't here, if we no longer have 50% Hawaiians, it becomes an issue, because guess what? We no longer have technically Hawaiians if we know blood quantum, or if that blood quantum is in play. I would like to replace that phrase alone with code requirement, which if you can prove you're Hawaiian, it doesn't matter if you 1% or in the middle at 50. If you can prove you have your genealogical requirement back into the top Hawaiian, and I think that's where we got to replace that, especially with the update to the Hopefully.
Yeah, I always question the blood quantum requirement because at some point, just because you only have so many Hawaiians, and every generation
Yep.
you cut your quantum in half, and then again in half, and then in half, and at some point,
Yeah.
you don't have any Hawaiians that qualify for benefits. And I know there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of talk about it. Hopefully you can help fix that to take care of our Hawaiian population. The
Mhm.
Jones Act, I just read today that because the Puerto Rico got hammered with the storm, that they have I'm going to allow are allowing them to operate on an amended version of the Jones Act to be able for them to take advantage of getting emergency supplies and so forth back into Puerto Rico. So it's not that we don't know the benefit or the harm that the Jones Act, as it is currently written, and I'm not saying to abolish it, but I definitely think that it needs to be looked at to be tweaked so that we don't
Yep.
suffer this extravagant cost for shipping. Everything is so doggone expensive over here. But I mean, Congress at some point is going to have to take a look at that, and which takes me to the next concern I have about Congress is the way the party system has evolved to be. We're talking today with some friends about the old school, old style, when Dan Inouye could talk with his buddies on the across the aisle, and they could actually come together and share ideas and concepts and come up with a product that was beneficial to all. That's not happening right now. You have the Democrats that hate Republicans, and the Republicans they hate the Democrats, and they cannot even communicate. And I'm blaming both parties. I'm not blaming any one or the other. They're both responsible. Do you see that ever changing back to the old days?
I at times when I'm out talking to folks, and it comes back to a scripture reading, verse 22, verse 37 to 41, and essentially it says, "You shall love the Lord in all your soul and all your mind." But I like what it says in 41, and that says, "You shall love yourself." Well, let's think about that for a minute. If we love the neighbor across the street as much as we love ourselves, would we have as many issues today throughout the world, throughout the United States, throughout Congress? No, because it's like where's the caring for each other at? You're right though, when you say there's such a huge divide. But what is some people will say, oh, it's the racism issue, it's this issue, it's the. Hey, let's not forget who we are in the process. You know, we got to remember it's a common sense thing. Let's reach out. Let's reach. You hear it's almost, oh, we got to reach across the aisles. We got to talk to people and try to. It's like, but are we really? Are you really reaching across the aisle and say, hey, let's work together on this. Let's make this happen. Because it's not about whether you're Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, anything. Because if our people cannot pay for their gas and they cannot pay for their groceries, insurance, or their food or anything else, if they cannot pay for that at the end of the day, does that really matter? Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, it doesn't matter one bit at all. What's important is our people are what important, and making sure that our people are prospering. We can be doing not that yourself or the individuals are prospering, but our people as a whole. No reason in my mind that every single person in Hawaii should not be. There's no reason unless there's so many restraints, so many constraints. Technology is available. People keep saying, oh, we don't have this or that. The technology is available. Mindset of what they're doing. And let's start focusing on those things and how people can be not laying on the side of the road, being homeless because they couldn't afford their house, right? That's the reason why every single family, every single person in Hawaii should not be prosperous.
There's always a debate about. I agree with you, by the way. But there's always been a debate about term limits for
Yep.
Congress. It's amazing how you get council members, term limit, mayors, term limit, governors, term limit, lieutenant governor, term limit, prosecutors, term limit. But for some reason, when you get to the state and the federal government, those legislative branches, no term limits. Congress, no term limits. We understand the value of we understand the value of institutional knowledge. But what are your thoughts on term limits as it relates to Congress?
You know, I'm in full support. I mean, I look at myself at this point and founder fathers were in the same position. They were not there forever and ever. They were ever and ever. They had farms to go to. They had businesses to run. They had other things they, when it came to that. So I think term limits are wonderful. Wonderful. For do what? To go get things done. Right? Let's move this process along for 30 or 40 years, building a power base. And then what? People are suffering continuously, like we are under now. And if people are not these guys that are in there for 30, 40, I mean, the current president in public service, public office. And yet you look at the records and you're like, what is it really helping the people or is it hurting the people? Those guys being on those places so long, is it helping anybody? In my mind, I don't see that. I would say maybe 2 terms at the max. Max is maybe 3, but that's 18 years. Representative, I would say no more than 8 years, maybe 12 years max. Maybe makes it even simpler. But I would be in full on support in favor of term limits.
Yeah, it really has become a reality show. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing actually when you compare what, and you know, even in countries that are crazy, led by dictators, and I obviously do not want America to turn into that. But what I'm saying is that it's almost comical watching these groups of people in Congress. And again, it's like a reality show. It's almost like tune in next week to see who's fighting with who or who said nasty things about who. And it, no longer is it, you know, watching the news to find out what good projects or programs are they working on together collectively. And but we've
Yep.
really created this divide. This divide has been so nasty that and it's really affecting all of us, and especially those of us that are the normal people, the regular people that actually work and have to feed our families. And it doesn't appear that they see it that way. They think they're actually doing good, but because they've been there so long, it has now become their culture. It has become their way of life, and their egos have grown to a point where they cannot leave it at the door no more. And
Yep.
I think term limits probably the only way that we can even start to rectify that system.
Yeah. I wouldn't, because you know, again, when you have somebody there for 30, 40, like they have no other idea about life outside of that. You know, my goodness. But you're going to dictate laws on, let's just say, businesses. You're gonna tell that, or you can't have this or that. But at the same point in time, have you ever run a business? Um, person, uh, uh, representative X, Y, or Z. Have you guys been? Do you know where people are at? Do you know what people are thinking about? You say you're, but who are you really touching, right? Who are you out there talking to? Because all businesses who barely survived and were barely able to make it through, say, the COVID, you're going to and put more taxes on them. Let's just keep taxing them. Let's just keep adding. What do the small businesses end up doing? It's like, okay, we've had enough. We're going to close down. We've tried, but it's like they've lost a grip on reality of what they're doing in it, and that's unfortunate. So I agree 100% with the term limits. Let's do that.
Yeah, that's I think that's one way we can start to at least infuse new ideas. It's going to take a while, and that's what scares me, Joe. It scares me that my two kids and all our villagers know this, and I hate repeating myself, but and it's not a pity party, but they both live in Oregon now, doing extremely well in Oregon, and they're enjoying a life that they could not have here. That is a shame.
Yep.
That I'm sixth generation here in Hawaii. They were seven, and that lineage is done. Their kids are going to be born in Oregon or wherever they may land, and their connection to Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii will always be my kids' home, but their children, their home will be Oregon. I have a hard time with that. I really do, emotionally and just philosophically, that it wasn't by choice. Yeah, they could have stayed here. Yeah, they could have, and they could have struggled, and they could have lived with mom and dad forever. But now they're independent and they're doing their own thing in a place that they I don't think that was in their plans, but now they're adapting. And how are we going to stop this? And I know this is more of a question for the state, but at Congress, though, I mean, I think the focus we it is critical. We're not like the continental U.S. We're not like someone that was born in California or New York. Our culture is here and it's deeply rooted in many generations because of the plantation. So we're different. How are we gonna stop this major outflow of our local kids because they simply, not by choice, but because they simply cannot live a meaningful life here? It's sad.
Yep. Well, and part of the same boat you are, Mel. My son lives in Iowa now, not because he was where he could actually be in to afford to live. For him and his family. One of those situations where you go, hey, I want you home, but why you're in Iowa? I mean, he I think he bought his house. I think he said for an Iowa. As well as I do, we can't afford no $100,000. You'll never see that again for a long time. But one of those things is the cost of living, right? The overall cost of living here. And I've seen some discussion. The gubernatorial candidates are talking about, yeah, we're gonna cut for some food items and medical items, but overall, does help. Again, I think an estimate was somewhere around $800 a year in a GET reduction. Yeah, that's people say that's not much, but it's something. We can look at again. Look at removing a GET off of a food or basic food, things you go at Costco to buy, or things a GET, and then for all of these other stuff, we're only one of 13 states that actually charge a over-the-counter medicines, right? We can take this. At least we got to be doing something for Hawaii, because right now we're not doing anything. In a study done by Grassroots, I think it was back in 2020, they showed that again, the update to the Jones is actually would help local families save up to almost $1,800. Again, you combine the two, the 18 and the $800, but you're talking almost $20 a year. Would that make a difference in people's lives? Again, looking at a $600 difference, it could be the difference between somebody being homeless on the street or pay their bills, being actually able to pay for food for their family. As it is, you see, the other day when I was actually out in Hilo, and he said, Joe, I work 4 jobs to take care of my family, sleep now, and my tax are going up. They're going to charge me more for my taxes, working 4 jobs to barely provide for my family. I don't know how much more before I'm going to have to move and go somewhere else. He said, I just can't. He said, and I don't want to. This is my kid's home. This is our blood that has gone back, just like you, multiple generations. I don't know I don't know how I'm going to do anything that's going to actually more. He said, I'm already working 4 jobs. How much more can I work? And it was, I could tell and it was a heart. It was a good moment for him. Like, if we had a heart that where he literally cried on the phone. I don't know what else. And I was like, bro, I feel you, man. I feel you. And that's our families here in Hawaii. They work so hard just to get things together. And at the end of the day, more and more is being taken away. More for this tax, that tax. Let's just add more tax. We're the second highest tax state in the nation right now. We pay more in taxes than everybody else, other than I think New York City. Pretty sad, and that we're spending that much money just to continue to grow a government, to continue to expand this, city, counties all over. It's like, this is crazy. We cannot keep taxing. Is not the way to solve the problem. Cannot.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Hawaii get rid of the GE tax. The GE tax is the most regressive tax. When you look at our tax, and people from the mainland will say, you guys tax so low, 4 point whatever percent, but it's 4 point whatever percent at every step along the way.
Right.
Wholesalers pay a GE tax. The reseller pays the same. I forget what the actual number was. It's like 20% or whatever is our actual tax that the state collects on a piece of a product or service that is sold. That's the reality. Yep. I would love to see us get away from GET and go with a straight up sales tax. You pay sales tax, and you shouldn't be paying sales tax on food and medication. I mean, that's just kind of what everyone else is doing. It always amazes me. And you mentioned about the gubernatorial candidates. Duke is not an incumbent. Duke's been out of the game for a long time, but our lieutenant governor, he's preaching that he wants to remove the GE tax from food and medication. He's saying it now when I become the governor, but my gosh, he's been the lieutenant governor for 8 years. He's been in the House, or he's been in the legislature for so long. Why do we have to elect you to be the governor before you're going to try to introduce something to the ledge to do what you want to do as the governor? Number one, you cannot do it as the governor. You need to get the legislative body to agree. Why hasn't anything been done over the last several years to make it happen? Oh, when I become the governor, no, you're not going to do nothing. And that is what upsets me, these campaign promises that from incumbents, right? From incumbents, because incumbents have no excuse. They're there. You could do it right now. They could have done it before the last session. They could have sent the bill to the legislature and let the legislature either kill it or move it through. But now, I want to be your governor, and if you make me your governor, I will remove the GE tax. No, get rid of the GE tax, and reinstate or implement a sales tax on anything but food and medication. That's how it should be done. But all of these promises drive me nuts, and it's always, if you elect me, I will do this. Well, pal, if you don't know, you have been elected for a very long time,
right?
And this is, and the problems didn't just start because of COVID. This was pre-COVID, pre-everything. I mean, we've always had a problem with the general excise tax.
Well, and if you look at that, he's been in what is that, 16 years? Right?
Yeah.
The legislator or lieutenant governor, 16 years? Well, why didn't you already introduce this? Why are you waiting till you become? Because that's when you feel you can affect the change. That as a different way is change. You can make the change or be the change that you want it to. But if you're going to wait around, I'll make the change when I get there. You're going to make the change when you get into position of authority. Then you make it doing, like you just said, Mel. Why aren't you doing that now? Why haven't you done that for the last 8 years? Color commentator on TV describing what all the bad things that are happening in our state. Been a color commentator. I don't know how else to call it that, but that's all I see. Done this is like, yeah, it's just a color commentator. It's like you were watching a guy on ESPN court day today, and here's the statistic for that day. I mean, yeah, it's like, dude, you've been there for 16 years. What have you done in that 6? What can we, as people of Hawaii, look back and say, wow, he did these great things to become in order to do? Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of things, and again, I go back to it's our choice, it's our decision. Do we stay with the status quo? Do we continue to elect the same people and expect different results? I mean, I think we all know what that is. And
it's the definition of insanity, right?
Right. And it's amazing though how people will see that as hope, and they're going to vote that way because they think. But I think when you look at, number one, and I said this I think on Monday night or whenever on the show, no one person can do anything by themselves. I don't care if you're a president, you're a Congress, mayor, council. You cannot do anything by yourself. Neither can a governor. And he's gonna need, or she's gonna need, the support of the legislature, the House and the Senate, the same as Congress.
Right.
And that relationships are so vital that all the talk that I have heard, and it is not just focused on Josh Green, but on our legislature as well. All the talk that we have been hearing about the GET and the fact that we shouldn't be charging that on drugs and food. That discussion has been going on for years now.
Yep.
And why is it still happening? Well, I guess my point is this. Why do you talk and giving people false hope when you know in your head that you're not going to make the change? That's misinformation. That's misleading. And the people got to understand. And listen, guys, if this group of people, whoever they may be, we talked about your individual districts that you vote in, if those people haven't done what you want them to do yet, and they've been in there for a long time, why the hell are you going to vote for them again? And again, I don't care if they're a Democrat. I don't care if they're a Republican. If your representative, your senator has not done what they told you or you told them you wanted done, why would you keep them in there? Well, maybe give someone else a shot that was more inclined to listen to the community and try to push forth the community's objectives. I mean, that is one of the things that baffles me every single election season.
You are preaching to the choir, bro. Because I am the same way. Like, well, again, the definition of insanity, right? You keep the same thing you've been doing and expecting a different result will never changing anything. The definition of insanity right there is you just keep voting. They're going to change suddenly, right? They're just going to suddenly go do something. You've been in office for 20 years. What have you done in those 20 years? What are you right? What are you suddenly going to wake up and say, oh yeah, I'm awake now. I think I want to change 14 years. But I'm awake now. But I'm gonna go make all these changes. You're cracking me up now. I tell you, note there with me because
I'm not very politically correct, Joe. I'm not very politically correct. You got to understand one thing. I'm a voter too. I'm a voter. I'm a citizen. I pay my taxes. I gotta support my wife and our family. I'm just a realist, and I know I know I know I hurt people's feelings. I really do, and there is absolutely no intention of hurting people's feelings. But this is how I see it through these eyes that's been around for a very long time, and have been in this game for a very long time, and it just baffles me.
Sure.
it baffles me. And w- uh, Joe, how are we going to get more people to vote? I blame ourselves. I blame all of us as collectively, as candidates, as elected officials, people that are already in office. We talked about this the other night. We have not um, um, we have not engaged, or we have not enticed our constituents enough for them to believe that it's important that they vote. So it's on us. It's not the elections office. It's none of that. It's us, right? We're not convincing enough that, hey, pal, when that thing come in your mailbox, you just got to fill in the dots and put them right back in the mailbox. You don't even have to go to the ballot box anymore. You can do it at home. But we're not making it
Right.
attractive enough. We're not giving them a reason. I think we have basically lost their trust. They have We have made them believe that their vote doesn't count, and no matter who gets in, the people going to suffer. How do we change that, Joe? I mean, I wish we could all get on a big bus and go across this state with a loudspeaker and get people, engaged and enticed again to get excited about voting again, But it's
It's just
Kawhi,
a,
39.6%. 39.6. That's
yeah.
like embarrassing.
It's scary that that's the level of amount of vote. I think I remember said in 1959, the statehood portion of when that 70 or 80% of people were voting, and you start to think about that, like, well, what changed? What happened in the last that only now 39.6% of the people vote differently, and that's exactly what I think what you just said, Mel, is the trust that people have that the government is actually there for them. I think people don't think the government is going to come in and take all of my money that I work so hard for every year. The government is going to support myself. They're going to raise property taxes, raise this tax, raise that tax, raise this, and pretty soon you're taxed out of what you can afford because that you're putting in there that are actually doing this to you, right? So how do you get people to vote? Is like, how much pain do you want to keep being in a pain state? Do you want to keep being in having, I don't know. Again, I'm going along with you, Mel. You're in a constant state of, is that how it makes you go like, you know what? Maybe I need to get off my butt and go with this because I'm tired of working at 4 jobs. I'm tired to support my family. I'm tired. Only this fucking go somewhere else because I can't. It's it's that, or we're going to continue to see family members go away. You're going to continue to see things if you don't do a change. Don't make that change, and it's an appeal to people like you guys got to make a decision for something, because if you're not willing to stand for something, that means you're going to fall. You're not willing to stand for that right to vote. You're not willing to stand for your freedoms that you have. People are going to
Yeah.
fall for anything, and this is the scary
We
part for me.
Well, and it's so, again, it comes on again. Yeah, who's got the money? Who does the nice commercials? I can tell you, and it's kind of taken off of what you just said about the trust. You got a state senator, right? Longtime state senator who's serving time in prison right now. You got a House of Representative who's going to be sentenced in October. And
Yep.
I'll be honest with you guys; these guys were two of my friends. I knew them. I worked with them all my years on the council. I would never have guessed that these two people would have been involved with something like that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's many more, and I think that's part of it with the corruption and that people are seeing this and thinking, why am I going to vote? These guys are all crooks, right? It's like all cops are bad. No, not all cops are bad. We have vast majority of cops are good. You got a couple of bad apples, they spoil the bunch, and I think people have just been disenfranchised from voting. They don't want to have any part of it. Let the chips fall. They fall. You know, I tell you what. You mentioned it. 4 jobs. I don't have time for be concerned about what they're doing. You know, I just gotta do my job. I gotta go
Exactly.
work, come home, have dinner with my family, go sleep after I butcher, of course, and then get up in the morning and do it all over again. They don't have time for be focused on politics. And the last thing they're gonna do is vote because they just have lost all interest and trust in government, and that is what we're experiencing right now.
Yep.
And if you
Yep.
look at the last several election cycles, we had a pretty decent turnout. This one is embarrassing, and it's scary because the minority of the people are going to set the direction for the majority, and that is not a
Yeah.
democratic society.
Yeah. Yep. And that is absolutely correct. And then people aren't out there voting, then they again, you cannot blame. I cannot blame some general apathy against the vote, right? Again, what does it matter? Not gonna care. So what? But it's because you're so busy. They're so busy. They don't have time. They're trusting their leaders and officials to do the right thing, to do the vote the right way. And we mentioned something, and I just want to bring this up that you talked about that the elected officials, the donations that we're seeing. Some guys, like I think his name was Milton Choi, right? Some donations, and you look at all the stuff that had happened, and that you looked at the stuff with the senator that you had worked with the representative that these guys are, and people are like, see, knew I knew those guys was dirty. I knew there was pilau, right? Because that's how some people think, right? It's like, yeah, I knew that, but like 39.6% of us vote. That's a
Yeah,
scary. You know,
yeah.
at least
You know,
let's get it over 50 or 100 or 80%. Come on, Jordy. But 39.6 is scary to me.
after this, after every election, we get to go inspect the poll books as candidates here on Kauai. So after the primary election, we would go in. We haven't done it this year, we probably won't, but we go in and we look at all the poll books, the actual poll books that are at the polls. Now with mail-in voting, it's a little tougher, but when people had to walk in and vote, um, and all the absentee voters was on this sheet, and we could go through each district, and all the names are in alphabetical order. So you have the A folder, the B folder, the C. So we would take our team down to the elections office. It's all supervised, so you cannot do. I mean, it's just you can only have one book at a time, and blah blah blah. But I would grab the R book. I would grab the R book because Raposo, and I would go look at all the Raposos and all my cousins that told me, Brother Mel, I only had vote for you, only one vote, never vote. I had a lot of friends, a lot of close friends that was even holding sign with us. And I get to the poll book, I look, son of a gun, they never vote. And that is, that is a problem. And
Yep.
that it's not confidential. It's public, it's confidential. I mean, it's public for the candidates to go in and inspect the poll books. So we cannot see who you vote for. No worry, we cannot see who you vote for. We only the poll book, the book that you sign when you go in to get your ballot. That's all we can see. But I can tell who votes and who doesn't, and it's
Right.
and most times, Joe, it hurt me more than made me furious. Was that we had a lot of family and friends that were very close that just did not vote, and it's quite shocking. And with a 40% voter turnout, the vast majority of the blanks of the voter the ballot logs would be blank. Would
Right.
be blank. So I don't know. I don't know how else to encourage people, guys. I mean, we don't have many people on tonight live. They'll be on later tonight. But if you're watching this, whether it's live or on the post show, guys, have a ballot party at your house. Make poo-poos. Go cook some steaks. Bring some food, some refreshments. Everybody bring the ballot, and everybody vote. And I mean, think of some creative ways to get more people to vote. We really gotta bump those numbers up to 75, 80% if we can. Then we
Yeah.
get a true representation of the people and not just the status quo. I can assure you, if we show up with a 39, 40%, then nothing will change. Nothing is going
Yep.
to change. And I challenge everybody watching this. Try to commit to get 5 or 10 people to vote. Just I don't know, pinky promise, whatever you got to do, go do it and get people out to vote. But anyway,
Right.
hey Joe, we almost at the top of the hour. I'm going to give you some time. Share with our viewers why they remember now. This is all Kauai. We got Neighbor Island people on the call that watches this. Why should we vote for Joe Akana for CD2 in the general?
Well, first of all, again, Mel, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. I think the most important thing you can look at is look, am I happy where I'm at today? Or am I better off today than I was 4 years? I'm not, or your family is not, or anyone you know is not better off today than you were. Evaluate who you are been voting, who you've been voting for, and ask yourself, do I want to, right? Do I want to be over there? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do no? Because of your case, and you're not getting any further along than where you were 4 years ago. Think about it. Say, you know what? I want to make a change, and I want to make a change because I want to make a change. Vote for me, right? Because why? I can tell you guys this: I am not. I've not been in politics for very long. 2020 was my first, and I will just tell you this: that I will. I'm not going to just make a promise to you and say I'm going to work hard for you. I've been working hard all my life. That's what we do, right? Life. I'm 58 years old now, right? I've been working hard. Do you think that's going to change the rest of my life? So if you're going to vote for someone that you know is actually going to be working for you as an individual, as your families, supporting you. And I mean, it's like, guys, I put it that way. I've been a servant for 25 plus years of my life, right? Serving in the military, specific command, all of those things, right? I've been a servant, and I'm going to say servant because of that. I've also served on my church. I've served in various organizations, organizational groups. But it's that level of putting you first, putting you first above me, because it's not about me. It's always going to, and you and we the people. It's not about me the person. It's about you. Every one of us to go out there, go vote, make a change. Because if you want to if you see a change, then you got to either be that change or you have to support the change. That's all I'm asking for. Support the vote. You can go to my website, joeakana.com. Also reach out. Is that info@joeakana.com is my email. My campaign phone number 84020. Feel free to call. Somebody with our website. Check us out. Seriously, do your research and say, do I like this guy or not? Yes, I do, or no, I don't. But if you don't, then look at what the alternative would be of what you've been getting for the last, who knows, 20 years, 30 years. Is it? And if not, then let's make a change. Let's vote Joe Akana.
Thanks, Joe. I know you can't see it, but I've had your website address on the screen the whole time, so they all go check it out, guys. You got a nice website. I mean, I didn't realize this guy had so much experience. I'm a veteran myself, and I really appreciate veterans that continue to serve after they have served their country. I know one thing, and I cannot speak for all veterans, but I know that the work ethic that we learn as veterans. People ask me all the time, man, what makes you the best candidate? I said, I cannot tell you I'm the best candidate, but I can promise you I'm the hardest working candidate. And Joe, it seems like you're the same way. I cannot believe we're so much alike. I also just had our 40th class reunion. We're the same age. I didn't know that. But you go check out the website, Joe Akana at Joe www.joeakana.com. Go check it out tonight. Share it with your friends. Again, guys, we just try to invite all candidates to come on, and we've had quite a few. And I just want to make it very as easy as it is for you guys to pick and choose. But it is, like Joe just said, and I've said for so long, you got to do your own due diligence. You got to research your candidate. Oh, Brian Iwohi is class of 82 too. Yo, bro.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah,
My brother
come here,
right
man,
there.
school grad too. Come here, man, school grad.
Yeah,
I think.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Brian might come here. Yeah, so guys, do your due diligence. And right now with technology, I always say go to the Civil Beat questionnaire. They got some awesome questions. They also have the contact information from all the candidates that participated. And those that didn't participate, well, maybe you got to start questioning why they didn't participate. Maybe they don't know how to answer the questions. But it's our duty to go check out who we're going to vote for. Not just vote for people because you recognize the name. Vote for people that are going to have your interests at heart and going to fight for your interests. And I got to put my plug in because tomorrow we're going to be in Hanapepe. Hang on here. Let me do this. We'll be in Hanapepe tomorrow night at 6:30. Please come join us if you guys in the area tomorrow night 6:30 to 7:30. And then as you can see, we're going Kekaha, Hanalei, Kapa, Waimea, Kalaheo, and then we end up in Nihui. So please, if you can, we've had a couple so far. It's been bro. It's the campaign trail is rough, but it's important that we give the public an opportunity to get to know us, because it doesn't really matter what I say. It really doesn't matter what I do. It's how we make you feel. And for some of us, you can go back and check track records, but when you get to talk face to face with someone, whether it's a job interview or an election candidate, you're gonna know right away if this gentleman or this woman is sincere from the heart and really cares about you.
Yep.
And I encourage all of you guys to do that. All the candidates have contact information available online at the elections website. Call them up. And like I said Monday night, if they don't call you back, automatic, that's a no vote. If they cannot even call you back, that shouldn't even be worthy of your consideration. That's all I got to say. Joe,
Yep.
Thank you, my friend. God bless you. Wish you well. And I'm sure our paths will cross soon. I'm looking forward to the next time we get to chat, my man.
Sounds good, brother. Love you, man. You guys stay safe. Take care.
All right. To the village. God bless. We love you guys. We'll see you guys, I think Friday night. I'm not sure. But